Hey guys, this is Matthew, and today I'll be showing you my street lifting equipment and the setup I use for pull-ups and dips. I pay a lot of attention to my equipment, I optimize it all the time, and my setup is something I'm definitely proud of and something I want to share with you so you understand the depth I go to in order to optimize my training. I will start with the things I use for both movements, so like the plates, the weight belt and the shoes. Then I'll go into details of my pull-up setup, and then I'll go into details about my dip setup, which is probably the most complicated and the most nuanced setup I have in my training. So without further ado, let's go. So let's start with the plate, as it is the basis of weighted calisthenics. So we do weighted calisthenics, therefore we need proper weights to do them. So the plates is like the backbone of my setup, the backbone of my equipment collection. So here in this gym, I have probably the most complete plate set I've ever had in my life. So let's get into the details of it. So the bulk of my plate collection are these nice and shiny 25s, and these 25s are actually all a little bit different, and I use different 25s for different purposes. So from the edge here we have two old 25s which are with me probably since 2020, and I only have two of these old 25s here, and they are the most valuable. Why? Because they're the most grippy. This side here with the letters, it's really convenient to grip it with my legs. So when I dip, I always put these 25s on the sides of my weight stack and put my legs here. And the letters here and the border allow me to grip the plates really hard and establish a good connection between my legs and the plates. And this is extremely important in heavy dips, especially in heavy dips, because you have to control the weight stack really well. So these are the two old 25s I have. Now, those here are the 6 thinnest 25s I have ever seen in my life. I found them on some online marketplace here in Russia, and they're pretty cheap, but the density and the thickness is absolutely insane. Look at this. Look at how thin this plate is. It's comparable to my pinky in thickness. It's so thin. And this comes extremely handy when dipping huge weights like 175 and above. And having such thin 25s really makes a lot of difference when it comes to the comfort of lifting heavy weights here. And the other 4 I have are similar to my old ones, but they're a little bit not as grippy as the old ones, but they're still pretty good. And I use them mostly for squats and pull-ups, chin-ups, where the thickness of the weight stack is not as important. So the thin 25s are used mostly for dips and squats, and the thicker 25s are usually used for pull-ups and squats, because on squats it doesn't really matter. As long as it's metal 25, it's all good. So that's it for the 25s. Alright, so and these are probably one of the rarest plates you can ever see, and specific, like they have a special place in my collection. These are the 50 kilo plates, the super thin ones, and I have 2 pairs of them. The old ones here, which I bought used, and they were actually extremely cheap. They were like $50 for a single plate, which is insanely cheap. But they were quite heavily used, so I guess that justifies the price. But just look at how thin they are. Like, it's insane. For a 50 kilo plate to be that thin is extremely rare. But I only managed to get 2 of them when I found them used. So I had to order 2 more, because originally when I was going for the 200 kilo dip, I wanted to do it with only 4 plates, so 4 50 kilo plates. So I had to order 2 more plates, and here are the custom made 50s. You know, the downside of these plates, like, they are super thin, but they lack these things. They lack the edges, which are grippable. So with these new 50 plates, I wanted them to be almost as thin as these, but also have these ridges here around the plate, so they will be grippable. And that's what I said to the manufacturer when I was ordering them, and they did exactly what I wanted. So these plates are also pretty thin, as you can see, around 4 centimeters thin, but they also have this nice ridge around the plate, so they are also pretty grippable. But when I was using them, after some time, I found out that the 25s, the old 25s that I talked about a little bit earlier, are still more grippable, and they just feel better in the legs. So now I use 50s only in super heavy sets, like 150 and above, but usually 175 and above, because I still try to stick with just small plates when doing my volume work. So these are now reserved only for super heavy dips and for peaking, and I don't use them on any other movements. So for pull-ups and for squats, I stick with the classic plates there. But these, when it comes to heavy dips, are very valuable, because what they allow to do is they allow to stabilize the weight stack, so there are less moving parts in it. So for example, when I'm collecting, like for example, a 190 kilo dip, I could either do it with 8 plates, so 7 25s and a 15, but I also can do it in like 6 plates, so 2 50s, 2 old 25s on the outer sides, 1 and 2 20s in the middle, and that would be 190 in 6 plates, which is extremely convenient. For my first 200 kilo dip, I used 3 50s in the middle and 2 old 25s on the sides, and this was an extremely stable setup, and at the same time it was super grippable and super easy to control. So these are really indispensable when it comes to super heavy weights, but that applies only to dips like 175 and above, so it's not for everyday use, so to say. Right, so we covered the big plates, so the 25s and the 50s. Now let's get to the smaller ones, and they are maybe lighter, but definitely no less important than the big ones. So here I have the 10s, the 15s, and the 20s. And immediately you can notice a big and important detail about these plates is that they're all the same diameter, the same as the 25s and the 50s. And this is actually a big deal, because what this allows me to do is to have this uniform weight stack when I dip and pull that is super easy to control with the legs, and it's really convenient to have all the plates at the same diameter. And I honestly think that this should be the standard for street lifting, because when you have different diameters for different plates, the stack gets less stable and it's harder to control it. And with these plates, which are the same diameter as the big ones, I can actually put them in the middle of the stack, and the stack will still behave like a single unit made of 25s, for example. So if I put a 10 or a 15 between the 25s, I will not feel any difference at all. And this is what makes the same diameter plates really convenient. And yeah, I cannot imagine dipping or pulling anything with different plates diameter anymore, because it's just too convenient to ignore. And the most special plates out of these are 10s, because the full diameter 10s are super rare, and I have seen them a couple of times in different setups, but here in Russia they are just not available. So I had to order them custom made, because they just don't sell them here. Like, if you want this full diameter 10s, you have to get them custom made. There is no way around it. So that's exactly what I did. And now I have these beautiful 10 kilo plates. And as for 15s and 20s, these are available in full diameter here in Russia, so that's extremely convenient. And I have only two 10s, because they are custom made and quite expensive, and 4 15s and 4 20s. So I have complete creative freedom over my weight stack management, so I can, for example, collect a 180 dip as 725s and a 5, or I can make it as 625s and 2 15s, or I can make it as 4 25s and 4 20s, or any other combination of plates. And it will make no difference at all in terms of comfort, because all the plates are still the same diameter. So in the end, it always feels like just this uniform stack of metal. The only difference that may happen is using 50s, so there are less moving elements in the stack, but still, even if I use only the smaller plates, it still behaves like one full stack of metal. So yeah, I'm really proud of my plate collection, and you have to feel it. Like, in order to see what kind of difference it makes, you really have to dip with it and practice with it, and you will understand my passion about this. So yeah, that's the big place for you. All right, so now let's get to the small plates. And these are important when you want to set up a precise weight. So, for example, not 175, but 177.5 or 178 maybe, or anything with the precision of 0.25 kilos is possible with this setup. So let's take a look. So these are the basic plates. So 2.5, 1.25 and 0.5. And also I have these kilo plates, which are super useful when you want to get like a round number of kilos. So not 177.5, but 177 or 178. And also this gym has these 1.5 and 2 kilo plates. So in total, I have almost every micro plate that can be obtained, aside from 0.25 kilo plates, which I have no real use for, but if I really want to get them, I will. So, and when it comes to the basic mini plates, the ones I bought and ordered, the ones that are mine, they are super thin as well. So take a look. This is a 2.5 kilo plate. Look at how thin it is. Like, it's thinner than my pinky. Like, it's much thinner than my pinky. And 1.25 is even thinner. And the diameter of them is pretty large, but this is done in order for the plate to be even thinner than the default 2.5 plate. And 1 kilo is super thin, and 0.5 is barely noticeable. So this is convenient when I want to add these plates, and when I put them like this, they are so thin that I don't even feel them. Like, I know some people like to put their small plates on a separate rope. Like, they will have the big plate stack on the bottom, and then the small plate stack separately on top. And I'm not a fan of this setup. And my super thin mini plates allow me to completely avoid all the inconveniences that come with using the small plates just at the side of the big ones. So when I dip, it's usually something like this. So the plate is here and my leg just goes straight around it, so I don't even touch the small plate. So I never have to actually weigh them like place them separately aside from the big plates. So this is my plate setup, and we're now finished with this, and we can go on to the next stage of our equipment setup, equipment showcase. So let's now get to the belt. And for a little bit over a month, I've been using this new King of Weighted belt. And originally I was quite skeptical of it. It didn't look quite as durable as some other belts available on the market. But with some use, I actually really liked it. And right now it's my go-to belt, and I do all of my training with it. So let's get a little bit into the details. So let's first check the base of the belt. So I have the size XL, and it's definitely long enough for me. So it has a great fit, and it doesn't fall off my hips. And at the same time, it has quite a secure fit. So it's really comfortable, and the best thing about this base belt is that it's super light. I actually weighed it, and it weighs around 2 times less than my previous belt. So this is a great economy of the weight you are lifting that doesn't actually go into the result. So when you lift, especially in a competition, the weight of the belt and the weight of the daisy chain, it doesn't count towards the weight you're lifting. So the lighter the belt is, the better it is for you. And this belt right here is the lightest I have ever seen. And this is a big deal for me. Now, my biggest concern with this belt was its durability and how much weight it can actually handle. But the manufacturer says that it's rated for up to 300 kilos, which is definitely enough for any lifts you're going to perform with it. And so far, in my practice, it really does hold up super well. So right now, the durability of the belt is not a concern for me at all. So in terms of weight to durability ratio, it's probably the best belt out there. And this is an advertisement. So if you want to get yourself a brand new King of Weighted belt, you can check the King of Weighted website and use my code ZLAT to get an additional 5% discount. And the second greatest part about the King of Weighted belt is that it has a daisy chain included in the shipping pack. So you don't only get the belt, you also get this great daisy chain. And it's really thick and really durable. And it has 4 stitches for every section of the daisy chain. And the manufacturer says that it's rated for up to 450 kilos. So it is definitely durable enough for you. Like, I guarantee that. And the daisy chain here is 150 centimeters long. So it's definitely long enough for you, for sure. The max I use is 130 centimeters. So it definitely has some reserve in terms of length to it. So yeah, I really enjoy using this daisy chain, and it's super light. And compared to other options like chains, like the metal chains you'd see in most of the dipping belts, it is much lighter than them. And also the big part is that it doesn't tear any clothes. So if you use this daisy chain, you can be completely safe, and you can be completely sure that your clothes and your t-shirts and your pants will not get torn like they would by a metal chain and a carabiner. And when it comes to carabiners, I actually use my own carabiners, which I bought a long time ago, and I've never seen anything like it. So it has a shape of a climbing carabiner, but it's not as massive, and it's made of stainless steel instead of aluminum. So these are my favorite carabiners, and the best part about them is that they're light, and they are also super easy to put on. So I don't really have to put much attention into it, so I can just do this, and that's it. So it's super convenient and super easy to put on. Nice. All right, so that is it for the belt. I will say it once again. Use my code for an additional discount, and the link for this belt will be in the description of this video. And also, an important piece of equipment, especially in street lifting, is your shoes. Your shoes solve a couple of major functions. So, first of all, they protect your legs, so you don't have to endure the pain of walking around barefooted. And the second of all, they allow you to grip the plates really well, if they are the right shoes. So, this is what I use for my lifting. These are called Aqua socks, and they're pretty cheap, and their original purpose is to be worn when you are swimming in the sea, so you protect your legs from like sharp objects like corals and stuff. But they are also perfect for street lifting, as they are, one, super light. They don't have anything that is these are the barefooted shoes, so they don't have anything that is not needed in a shoe, and therefore they are super light and super thin. So this thinness allows for maximum contact with the weight, so you really feel the weight with your legs. And the second main benefit is that they have this rubber edge going around the shoe, and it actually is really grippy, and it allows me to grip the plates with maximum strength. So this rubber really connects to the metal of the plate, and the control you get is great. It's like nothing I have ever tried before these Aqua socks. And combined with my old 25s, which are grippy themselves, you get this connection that allows me to hold more than 200 kilos with my legs and still have perfect control. So yeah, that's it for the shoes. It's not much info, but it still makes a difference. Alright, so we covered all the basic stuff that is used in both movements, like plates, belt and shoes. Now let's get to the individual setup for pull-ups first. So this is my pull-up setup, and let's start with the entry. So I entry my pull-up from two wooden boxes like this, and they are actually mostly used for weightlifting purposes, but here they are also perfect for as leg platforms for entering my pull-ups. So what I do is I put one leg like this and then enter my starting position for the pull-up. And this can get a little bit complicated with heavy weights involved, like 115 and above, but still I have enough coordination to get this one leg step up and enter the position with the heavy weight. So this is the pull-up bar I use for my reps, and there are some things about it that actually make it a little bit special. So first of all, it's a wall-mounted pull-up bar, and it's actually great because it doesn't have any motion to it. So it's super stable and super stiff. So when I do pull-ups on it, none of my strength goes to just shaking the rack. Everything goes into pulling myself up, and this is perfect if you want maximum performance. The bar itself is pretty thin, so I would say it's about 30 millimeters in diameter, and this is the most comfortable pull-up bar diameter for me personally, because it allows me to grip the bar fully and close my hand easily. And as you can see, there is tape on the bar, and I actually get quite a lot of questions about the tape, what is it and why I use it. So what is it? It's a simple medical tape which is used for taping wounds and scratches, but we the people who do a lot of pull-ups actually came up with a use for it in taping the pull-up bar. And what it does, it gives you a super secure grip. So if you compare the bar here, where there is no tape, with the taped portion, the taped portion has a much better grip, and the connection from the hand to the bar is just insane. Like, and if you apply chalk to it, like this is, you get a dead grip. Like, there is nothing that can remove your hand from it. It's so strong that sometimes calluses come off just from how well your hand is connected to the bar. Like, even the connection that your skin has to your palm is weaker than the connection from your skin to the bar. It's insane. And the second purpose for the taping of the bar is to actually establish a stable grip width that doesn't change from set to set. So if the bar isn't taped, I really have no reference of how wide to grip the bar, and sometimes this causes issues. And I have a tendency to grip a little bit wider than is comfortable for me when there is no tape on the bar and there is no reference. But with the tape, I have this perfect grip width measured for myself, so I don't have to guess it. I can just grab by the edges of the tape, and here is my perfect grip width. And for reference, it is exactly 73 centimeters between here and here. And my grip width actually has an interesting story to it, because for many years I used to do my pull-ups on a pull-up bar which was divided into sections, like the red pull-up bar you see in most of my old videos. And I will put a video here showing the exact bar I'm talking about. So this is how my grip width formed, and now I try to stick to this grip width everywhere I do my pull-ups. So 73 centimeters between the pinkies of my hands is the perfect grip width for me, both for pull-ups and for chin-ups too. Yes, I grip wide on chin-ups, and that can be a topic for a different video, but I will not cover it here. So that's it for the pull-up bar. And now let's talk about the other part of my pull-up setup, which is the plate position. So let's grab the belt. And for my pull-ups, I use the hole which is number 6. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this is the opening I use for my pull-ups. So let's fit some plates. And as you can see, this placement results in the plates being roughly between the knees. So this is what gives me the most control over the weight. So I tried doing pull-ups with the plates down all the way like I do on dips, and this wasn't comfortable. I just didn't have the leverage I am used to having with the legs, and it was really hard to bring the plates forward when I was going up and reaching the bar with my chin. And when the plates are higher than that, it's also not convenient, because the weight being high up between the legs, closer to your pelvis, actually throws you back on top of the pull-up, so you cannot get that horizontal closing, which is really important to get a perfect finishing of the rep. But with this plate height, it's super convenient, and it allows for maximum strength and perfect horizontal closing like this. Yeah, super comfortable. All right, so let's get to the most juicy part, the part that I get the most questions about, and this is my dip bars. So this dip bar is probably the single thing that I'm the most proud of in all of my equipment collection. And it is of course custom built and unique. And yeah, it's a great dip bar. And let me tell you why. So let's start with the entry. So in this, as you can see, it has a double side step setup. So when I have plates on me, what I do is I start here. I take a step on the lower step. Then I put my other foot on all the way up. And I finish the entry by putting my first foot on the second highest step. So, and now I'm in position to start my dip. And look at the step height and the handle height. When I am standing on the steps on top, my arms are straight and I am perfectly in position to enter support without jumping or leaning or like doing any unnecessary motions. So this is the perfect step height and this is the perfect handle height. So I waste no strength at all and I can just grip the handles and close my legs. And that's it. And I'm in position. And this takes less than a second and no strength is wasted at all. I see a lot of people entering their dips from a box, and that's just horrible for me because there is so much strength wasted when you're entering your dip from a box. It takes a long time and the entry is also asymmetrical. So first you go in with one leg, then you bring the other leg, and all that time that you set up your legs, you also have to hold the weight up in your support. But here, all you have to do is grip the handles and just bring your legs together, and that's it. There is zero strength wasted, and you arrive in the starting position perfectly balanced. So the side step entry, which I have here, is the best dip entry that can actually be done. So this is the supreme dip entry. Like, there is no better entry than this. And I will stand by my words here. So now let's take a closer look at the mechanism here. So the bars are actually adjustable. So here I have the screws. Here they have the handles, so I can unscrew this thing and actually make the bars more narrow or wider. So I dip at almost max width. So my 205 kilo dip was done at a width that was 5 millimeters less than the max. So it had like 62 centimeters between the inner side, and the handle diameter was a little bit different, but we'll get to that. So right now I will be doing my dips at a width of 67.5 centimeters between the centers of the bars. And fun fact is that the final rep competition, in which I will be taking part in 2025, actually doesn't have this width available. So the final rep dip setup, it maxes out at 65. So yeah, I guess you could say that I'm an outlier here, dipping so wide, but yeah, it's actually this extreme width that allows me to put all of my strength into the dip and produce maximum results. So wide dips are the way to go for me, and in my opinion, every competition that has adjustable dip bars should have at least like a 70 centimeter width available for guys bigger than me who want to dip even wider. 65 is just not enough. to realize the maximum potential, because I heavily rely on adduction when I dip, especially when I lock out. So most people lock out like this with their elbow close to the body, but what I do is I actually lock out more like this, adducting my arm. So this is the dominant movement for me, and for this I have to actually dip super wide. Let's now get to the handles. So the original handles of these dip bars were actually 38 millimeters in diameter, and in my opinion this is the most comfortable diameter for the dip bars, because yeah, it's narrow, but it's thin, but it allows you to close your hand fully, and with the hand fully closed you get your max grip strength available, and the harder you can grip the dip bars, the better your strength transfer into the bars themselves will be. So you can drive with maximum force. But for final rep, they have the 50 millimeters handle. So I made the adjustments. So these handles I have on now are 50 millimeters. And it's actually quite a funny story about how I made them. So if you take a closer look, this is actually a plastic pipe, which I bought in a nearby hardware store. And I basically just put a lot of tape on the inner side. So as you can see, there's a lot of tape here. So I increased the diameter of the handle so the pipe sits tight. Then I applied some glue to it. And yeah, and then I put on the pipe here on the handle. And I just let it dry, and right now it sits super tight, and yeah, it feels like a professional handle, but it was done like out of a simple plastic pipe and a bunch of tape and some glue. So yeah, that's how we modify equipment in Russia. So, but I'm not really enjoying dipping at 50 millimeters width, but for now I think I'll stay with it. And if it starts annoying me, like the 65 centimeter width did, then I will switch back to 38 millimeters and dip in a comfortable environment. Yeah, that's the handles. And now let's talk about the plate position. These are the plates. And for my dips, I use the whole number 3 here. So if this is 0, 1, 2, and number 3. And in practice, let's put it on. And as you can see, the plates are hanging pretty low. And I do this in order to lower my center of mass as low as possible. And on pull-ups it doesn't matter as much, but on dips it really makes a huge difference. If your center of mass is low, then there will be much less swinging, and you'll also have a much easier time keeping your legs straight and stable, and your overall position when you dip will be super stable. So I grab the plates with my feet, as I already told you many times while describing the plates and the shoes. So in practice, it actually looks like this. So, and you also can admire the efficiency of my side step entry here. So, like this. And I have a super secure grip. And now I can do my reps like this. So no problem, and the control here is absolutely perfect. And yeah, in my opinion, this is the perfect dip setup you can get. And I cannot really think about improving it. And yeah, for me it's as good as it gets. And I'm really enjoying dipping on these bars. They are the best I've ever had. Oh, and also an important part of my dip setup is that I actually use a couple of 50 kilo plates here to weigh down the dip bars and make them even more stable. So even without the plates, the dip bars stand perfectly still, but with the plates here, it's 100 kilos of additional weight, And with them, the bars are just like glued to the floor, and I don't have to screw them to the floor or do anything similar to have like them stand perfectly still. So yeah, if you want a more stable dip setup, just put 100 kilos on it and it will stand much better, and it will have no movement or nothing like that. So yeah, this is the role my old 50 kilo plates play mostly in my training and street lifting setup. All right, so this was a little tour of my street lifting setup and equipment. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you also got like the idea of how much attention I put into my equipment and my setup. I always try to optimize everything and find the best solutions for each of the lifts. And equipment really plays a big part in achieving great results. So if you can apply something that I said here in this video to your own training and improve your results just from improving your setup, that would be perfect. And that would be the goal for this video. So you learn something new about my setup and can implement it into your own training. I hope this video was helpful to you, and if you have any video ideas for me, or you want me to shoot something specific for this YouTube channel, then leave a comment. I am always searching for any ideas for content, but I'm not really as creative as some people here. So if you have any ideas about anything you want to see on this channel, leave a comment and I will be super grateful for it. It was Matthew, and yeah, bye. See you in the next video, and I will try to make it as soon as possible. Stay tuned for more content, and I'll see you all in the next one.